Lefty, and this is a vintage 60s Japanese body with a modern, today, Chinese-made replacement neck. Don't get excited about that. I said Chinese. It's okay. Don't get excited. The body is probably Kawai, could be Fujijin, hard to say. They made so many guitars that looked like this. There's slight similarities between all of them with, you know, the ears, and generally the F holes are what change, you know, give it away what model it is. And then the hole that's cut down here for the control plate, right? That's what this covers. It's a big sort of curved hole in the top. Now that it's Lefty, everything's been moved over to the other side. And what's nice about the hole, it just makes it easier for me to get all this stuff in there, because it's kind of tricky to, you know, it's tricky. So when I got it, there was nothing on it. It was just the body, and there was big holes here where the original pickups were, and I know exactly what pickups those were, and you're not missing anything. Those are really bad pickups. I've said this many times, there's only a couple of pickups from the 60s, the single coils that everybody wants to call everything there a gold foil. There's only a couple different ones that are any good. The rest of them just sound horrible. And that would have been what came on here, judging by the hole, which is similar to the P90 style hole. So that's why I had to go with the dog ears, because there really was nothing else that's going to fit in there. I don't want to put humbuckers in this thing anyway. With all of these bodies, I put supports in underneath the top, and that keeps it from collapsing in on itself, because these things are lightly made. They're not big honking things like the Harmonies, or, you know, American made stuff is big and beefy. The Japanese stuff is rather delicate. And 50 years later, 60 years later, after someone has left the strings on it under pitch and threw it in the closet for the last 40 years, they start to collapse on themselves. And also, it makes it more of a stable tuning, right? Because when you're tightening up the strings, it's pulling the body. So these supports under there do a good job of stabilizing the body. This body is in pretty great shape to begin with. All the binding is good. There's, you know, definite scratches and wear and things. You can actually see where the pick marks are on there. Somebody took the original guard off a long time ago, didn't want it. So it's a nice body, probably a Kawai. And I put the pickups on there. I put on my Type 13 single coils, which I call silver foils, and these are based on the good 60s pickups. So they're a kind of a clone of the De-Armond Row gold foils, which would have been on Harmonies. But this is what the good 60s single coil sound would have been, or gold foil sound. And remember, it's a Lefty. I keep forgetting. I should play like this. I could probably be just as good. No, forget it. Not good. So I got the Type 13s on there, new pots, Lefty pots. Actually, this is a linear pot, but this is a Lefty pot, so they work great. It's the three-way switch. The bridge is a floating bridge. Now, these always have a post underneath the bridge. That's the way they built them. Sometimes it's a block, sometimes it's a post. This is one of those kind of fancy posts, which also gives it away that it's probably a Kawai. And I have one of my aluminum lightning bridges, which is compensated for the strings. You could put, you know, you can't, first of all, you can't get a tune-o-matic on there to fit. It's not going to go. So this intonates just as well. Actually sounds better. Most of those tune-o-matics are made out of zinc, and they're crappy. This is, aluminum bridges are the thing. They sound good. This intonates perfectly. It's a floating bridge technically, but I have pinned it into place so you don't have to worry about it floating around or moving. And you know, this is a trapeze of the period. Don't even know if it's Japanese or not. It might be, but you got to remember with a trapeze like this, they move, right? Just a little bit, they move. So the issue with the trapeze is that when one string goes out, they all go out because this thing shifts on you. And you're just going, well, why do we use trapeze? Because they're sexy and they're not going to go away. Everybody uses trapeze, from violins to cellos to big jazz boxes. They all got trapezes, and the trapeze is not going away. Now, there are certain trapezes that are more fixed and they don't move so much, but anything that looks like this, it's flexible. It's going to move. So keep that in mind. Don't call me up and bitch to me because, well, it won't stay in tune. It's because it's blaming this. Now, the neck, I've had many of these Chinese-made replacement necks, and they're all made out of what looks like Philippine mahogany. They may be real mahogany. It's hard to say. But they're well made. There's no problem. This is real rosewood. They're well made. The problem with these things, when you get them, is they're a 16-inch radius with a really crappy fret job on them. I don't care about that because I pull the frets off and refret it anyway, and I'll recrown it with a 12-inch radius, which I did with this one. Now, this one had another peculiarity that I noticed when I got it. First of all, it's really thin, very thin. Surprising. They got a great truss rod in these things, so there's no issue with that. But I was surprised how thin it is. It's a thin D, you call that. But you look at it and you're going to see there's a little pin there. You see a little steel thing. That's the registration pin that is typically used on the way they build these things. They put a couple registration pins here and a couple there. That's way when they glue the top on, it doesn't squirm around when you squeeze the glue on. Keeps it in place. Generally, they don't go all the way through the back. Thor must have been using the nail gun that day because he drove it all the way through to the other side. And that's why this one was probably considered a factory second. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's just there's a spot. It's like it's got a mole or something or a tattoo. But it's surprising to me that they drove the pin that far in when all it really needs is a little tiny thing. Whatever. I don't build them that way, but that's a standard construction thing. So it's the advantage of a modern neck is that you get a modern geometry, right? Normally this would have been more narrow and it would have been a shorter scale. Now it's a 24 3/4, a Gibson scale, and it's the right spread that's normal, and it feels like a modern guitar. 1 11 inch polycarbonate nut, which is 1/11/16 inches wide, which is normal. And then I've got a new set of modern tuners on there, which fit on perfectly. It's designed for that. So, sorry, Lefty. So it's a nice playing guitar, and it sounds really good, and it stays in tune, and it does everything it's supposed to do. And it only weighs like 4 pounds, 3 ounces, I guess. I mean, it's light as a feather. So if you're lefty, you don't get many choices with these kinds of guitars. They may have made them, I don't know. I've never seen a lefty guitar from a Japanese factory from the 60s. Never seen one. So here's a chance to have an authentic sounding, better playing, and better condition than if it was original. And come get it. Lefty mongrel mashup of a Kawai hollow body from Japan. Yeah, that sounds good.